Good morning from Phuket, and once again you can see we have blue skies, and today we're going to be taking a look at the reservoirs around Phuket and discussing the current situation with water reserves. Well, today we're going to be looking at the three main reservoirs in Phuket and looking at the situation of the water levels. It was given out yesterday on Phuket News that the PWA are now going to start issuing water trucks for people that are getting low water pressure and no water to their homes. So we're going to take a quick look around the reservoirs, have a look at what the levels are. We've got a couple of choices of transport. The wife's not coming with me today, nor is Shadow. The wife is working. Shadow is flat out asleep on the floor, so I'm not going to be taking her because I need to be able to operate the cameras. We're going to look at the modes of transport first of all. First off, of course, we have my bike, the Kawasaki. This is not ideal when I'm carrying camera equipment. I don't have any storage. So today I'm going to be taking the PCX. Great little scooter to get around on if you're coming over to Phuket on holiday. Then these are a great little scooter to hire. Of course, this is the wife's bike. It's got a little storage compartment at the back, which makes it very easy to put my camera bag in. I've set it up with a few cameras. As you can see, I've got a camera that's going to be looking directly at myself, and one that is going to be taking a look at what's behind us as we make our way around Phuket. Okay, well, first off we're going to make our way up to Shillong Reservoir, see what the situation is with the water level there. This reservoir, of course, feeds the homes, hotels and businesses around the Shillong area. It also covers Naham and Rawai. So we're going to take a quick look there to start with before moving on to the large reservoir at Banwa, which I've covered before, linked at the top of the screen now. There are actually two Banwa reservoirs. There's also the new one, which I haven't visited before, but we will be visiting today. So stay with us and we shall take a look at these reservoirs and see what the position is. Obviously, it's a little bit worrying if you're coming out on holiday. It should not affect your holiday because hotels will be having water trucks come in. The main reason why the water levels are so low at the moment on the island is we haven't had any rain now, really of any amount since the beginning of January. We've had the odd shower here and there, but nowhere near enough to keep the reservoirs full. So this is one of the reasons why the water levels are so low at the moment, and there is at the moment no sign of any rain. The weather, to be honest, is quite brutal at the moment. High 30s, most days 35 and above. So to be honest, we're having some beautiful weather, but on the downside of that, of course, with no rain, it is going to affect the supply of water on the island. Now, of course, there are some privately owned, shall we say, reserves of water. Of course, these are not free, and if you need water, you can actually buy water in from the water trucks, but of course there's a cost involved. Now, personally, I haven't had to buy any water for about 4 years. When we had a bit of a dry spell, we had a business to run, the water was running out, so we've had to buy about 3 or 4 times. We had to have the water truck come and fill up the water tank. Of course, if the hotels are running short of water, that's where they will be buying their water from, so their guests don't go without water. We're now just making our way up towards the reservoir at Shillong, just at the end of this road. Most people don't realise that Shillong actually has its own reservoir. You can certainly see the levels are low. Clearly see the grass growing in the centre or towards the centre of the reservoir there. so that would indicate it's fairly low. Now I remember it being a lot higher than this. Okay, well, I'm going to switch on to my other camera. I'll come back to you in a sec. Okay, well, I've just jumped off the bike and onto the other camera, and we're going to have a wander over towards the reservoir and take a look at the situation. Well, I can clearly see a sandbank down there. It's certainly looking low, there's no question about that. I'm not surprised, to be honest, after 3 months of no rain. These reservoirs are not big enough, in my opinion. I think we have 3 main reservoirs. One of these is, of course, the Shillong Reservoir, which we're at now, and the other 2 are both called Bald&Bored. There's the original one, which I've already featured in a video, and then there's the newer one. Of course, the Bald&Bored Reservoir is a lot larger than this particular reservoir. I haven't visited the new one, so I'm not quite sure of the size. I'll be interested actually to see the level at the Bald&Bored Reservoir. You can take a look at that video. Near enough full, I would say, when I visited it. Maybe not quite full, 90% shall we say, but at least 90%. I've visited this reservoir a little before Christmas, around December time, and there was a lot more water in it than what's currently showing now. These levels are quite low. I remember the water level being at least halfway up this bank, and as you can see, the levels are not that high at the moment. In fact, you can see over the back there's weed grass growing, which I don't remember seeing that before. If the rains don't hurry up and come, I think a lot of homes and businesses are going to be struggling for water. I've noticed over the last few weeks that the water pressure has dropped at my personal home. We still have water, there's no issue there at the moment. I just want to quickly give you an updated statement. At the time of the recording of the video, I hadn't seen this piece on Phuket News. The PWA, which is the Provincial Waterworks Authority, have now said that they are supplying free water trucks to anybody within the Bald&Bored and rationing area due to the low water pressure. If any of the residents are struggling over there, they will supply a free water truck. It sounds like that the area that's affected at the moment is mainly around the Bald&Bored Dam. Okay, we are going to leave Shillong now, make our way over to Car 2, where the first Bald&Bored Reservoir is located. Right, okay, let's move on to Bald&Bored Reservoir. Okay, let's go. Not by the main entrance, Phuket Country Club entrance, golf course. If I remember right, you can use this entrance to get to the reservoir. Which way I want to go? It's this way, if I remember right. A few people out playing golf. Okay, we're just coming up to the reservoir now at Bald&Bored. Just about to enter into the gates. Now, I'm not actually sure if this is the largest reservoir in Phuket, Bald&Bored. I will have to check a little bit later, add that onto the video, but I believe it is the largest one. I don't know if the new Bald&Bored Reservoir is larger than this one. As I say, I haven't visited the new one. We shall be visiting it shortly. Well, to be honest, there's a little bit more water in it at the moment than I was expecting. I was expecting it to be a little bit lower. I don't know exactly how deep it is. However, I can clearly see that it's a lot lower than it was when I visited. I believe when I visited it was up to the first mark of the concrete. I will have to double check the video and take another look, but I believe when I came the last time it was only the top part of that concrete structure showing. Okay, I'm going to park up and then we'll go and have a little walk over. Parked up the scooter, we're going to have a quick walk over to the reservoir now. As I say, I have covered this on a previous video. It's quite a nice area to come to exercise. There's a road that runs all the way around it. You can jog around it or walk around it, whichever. Over a weekend you will find quite a few locals using it to exercise, and of course in the mornings and in the evenings when they finish work. And it's generally quite a nice place actually. Right, let's go over and take a look at the water level. After doing a little bit of research online, the current reservoir which we are at is Phuket's largest reservoir, and this is capable of holding 11.3 million cubic meters of water when full. Well, there's no doubt the water level's a lot lower than when I last visited. I remember there was a load of water gushing out the pipe there because I flew my drone over it. Some shots with the drone, and yes, it's now I've walked over to the actual reservoir, I can see that it is substantially lower than what it was when I visited, without a doubt. Of course, Bald&Bored is one of the reservoirs that feed Patong water to all the hotels, businesses over there, and of course the residential homes as well. And I would imagine now that they are getting a bit low on water, without a doubt. And they're saying on the news that they have enough reserves to last until the rains in May. Of course that's depending on when the rains are going to actually come to Phuket. Last year we had a lot of rain. There wasn't any real period where we went any length of time without any rain. It seemed to be raining all the time last year, but this year is very different. We've had a very long dry spell and there is no signs as yet of it letting up. There was some black cloud around yesterday, I noticed, and I thought it was going to rain at one point, but it never did. And this is the sort of position we're having. We're getting cloud, it looks like rain cloud, but it just passes over and we don't get any rain. Certainly not of any amount to fill up the reservoirs, that's for sure. Let's go and take a little wander down further. Now when I came last time I couldn't come down to this level because the water was up above these steps. There's no doubt it is lower. So what does this mean basically in Phuket? Well, of course, water pressure is down. Not everywhere will be fed with water. I know a lot of the bigger hotels will allow for this, or should allow for it, and they will be obviously having private water trucks come in. Now there are quite a few private reserves of water on the island of Phuket, but of course you have to pay separately for that, and that will be down to the hotels whether they wish to do that. So that is going to add a cost to themselves. Whether they will be passing that on to the customer, it's hard to say. Of course now we're coming towards the end of March. Rains normally come sort of end of April, beginning of May, but of course that's not guaranteed. We may not get rain for another 6 to 8 weeks. I honestly don't think these reserves of what I'm looking at now are going to last another 8 weeks, which is a little bit worrying. There are some private reserves, but it's being able to pay for that because it's not cheap. As I say, when I bought, the last time I bought water in, which has been at least 3 years, maybe 4, I think then for 1,000 litres it was around 500 baht. It might not sound a lot of money, but to some people 500 baht is quite a substantial amount. Now a few weeks ago I visited my friend Pete over at his condominium in Patong, and he was telling me that they'd actually run out of water. This was 2 weeks ago, or were running out of water, because part of it is condominiums and part of it is a hotel, and of course they were giving the hotel preference over the condominiums because obviously the tourists. It's not a good thing if you come on a holiday and there is no water. you can't use the toilet, you're not going to be able to take the showers. And what the condominiums were doing were having water trucks come in to supply the hotel and also the condominiums. Now that was 2 weeks ago. More water has been used since then. I haven't spoken to Pete lately simply because he's away in Australia. He's had to go back there for 10 days. He should be back next week, so I will be speaking to him and see what the position is over there. Now obviously if you're coming out to Phuket on holiday in the next month, my honest opinion is I don't think we're going to see any rain until at least the end of April. I may be wrong, I hope I am, but that's my honest opinion because this year has been very dry, unlike last year. What I would suggest is if you've got a problem with water in your hotel, obviously speak to them about it. They should be bringing in water trucks to cater for that. I would have thought the bigger hotels especially, they're not going to let their customers go without water, so they're going to bring in water trucks if the reserves are running low or there's no pressure at the pipes. As regards the smaller ones, then of course this is going to be down to the individual owner whether he wants to burden himself with the cost of water. I can't speak for everyone that's going to be in this position, but I would imagine a lot of the owners will of course pay for water trucks to come in. But again, there are only so many water trucks, and from what I read today regarding the PWA, the water trucks carry roughly 6,000 litres. I know our old water tank was 1,500 litres, so if you're looking at that, one water truck can only really do maybe four or five homes, businesses. It depends on the size of the tank, of course. Some hotels have got a lot larger water tank than that, so maybe they take one truckload completely. And I believe, if I read the article right, they've only got 6 or 8 trucks out at the moment. They can only do so many deliveries a day, backwards and forwards. So I'm going to keep my eye on the position, see what they report on the Phuket news, and let's wait and see what happens. In the meantime, I'm going to now make my way over to Bald&Bored Reservoir number 2. This is called the new one. I haven't visited this reservoir before. It's quite a way from where we are at the moment in Khartoum. It's closer to the airport, going up towards that way. I'll come back to you shortly. Okay, we are now nearing the second of the 2 Bald&Bored Dam reservoirs. I've not been here before, so you're going to have to bear with me while I have a drive around and see where you actually go here. Now, I mentioned that this was up near the airport. Actually, I want to correct that. It's actually closer to Surin Beach and Kamala than the airport, so I'm guessing that this reservoir must feed Surin, Kamala and Talang. But I guess, I'm not sure. Again, I'm going to need to have a look online to get a bit of information, which I shall overlay on the video. Have a look now to see where I need to go. I know the reservoir is just over the back here. Okay, well, I've managed to find this piece here that overlooks the reservoir. I'm not sure whether you can get down. I think you can. It looks like an access road over there, but I'll give you an idea. Overlooking the dam. Now, I haven't been to this particular one before. Okay, I've just swapped over cameras onto my main Sony camera. Just got off the bike, and as you can see, we are overlooking what they call Bald&Bored Reservoir, which is the second one of the 2. Looking at it, to be honest, it doesn't look as large as the original one, Bald&Bored, but I'm not sure. I have no idea how full this was because this is the first time I visited this particular dam reservoir. But as you can clearly see, there's not that much water in it. Where this reservoir exactly feeds, I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to try and make my way back down and see whether I can get a little bit closer, get a few more pictures. But there doesn't look to be that much water in it. Well, unfortunately it doesn't look like there's any access to that road that runs along the top, not currently anyway, along the top of the reservoir. I've had a ride round, I can't find any way onto that road to have a closer look at the reservoir, so I've only got those images which I've already shown of the reservoir. It doesn't look like there's that much water, to be honest, from where I was standing in that current reservoir. What I'm going to do now is make my way over to just outside Phuket town, where we have a couple of smaller reservoirs. These are located by the King Rama Park. However, I've done a little bit of digging online and I've managed to come across a website that gives me the current water resources for Phuket. Now, looking at it, I think this was put up in 2016, so it's a little bit out of date. There are a few figures on here that are different to other websites that I've looked at, but this gives me more information than the other sites. It's saying on this particular site that the first Bald&Bored dam can hold 10.2 million cubic meters of water. Well, I've seen more updated sites saying it holds 14, so it may well hold 14 at the moment. I don't know, I'm not 100% sure, but it's listing the second Bald&Bored dam at 7.2 million cubic meters of water, and it also lists the dam or reservoir at Shillong, which holds 4.3 million cubic meters of water. Now, it also gives me other information as regarding surface water from old mines. Believe it or not, there's 109 old mines in total, hold 21 million cubic meters of water, and then there are 5 groundwork basins, whatever they are, hold 30.8 million cubic meters of water, and then there are 1,024 groundwork wells, which I presume are just wells scattered around the island, that hold a total of 5.11 million cubic meters of water, giving a total of 78.65 million cubic meters of water per year as Phuket's water resources. Now, underneath this, it actually gives me the water consumption in Phuket, starting from 2016 going through to 2017 and on to 2032. So I'm guessing these figures are predicted, and it gives me the local consumption, the tourism, and then it lists all the water resources. Now, in 2016 it was saying a minus figure of 8.2 million cubic meters of water, so obviously we didn't have enough in 2016, and unfortunately as we go through the years that figure, minus figure, increases. Obviously the capacity of the dams are not enough for the consumption of the water according to this website. Now, how accurate this is, I don't know. As regards the consumption in 2017, Phuket consumed 70.76 million cubic meters of water, and the resources are 56.16 million, so there was a deficit of 14.6 million cubic meters of water. And then it doesn't list 2019, unfortunately it lists 2022. Well, we've just arrived at the 2 smaller reservoirs just outside of Phuket town. They're actually situated on the way to Shillong. They're nowhere near as big as the other reservoirs we've looked at earlier. However, I believe these smaller ones do supply Phuket town with a certain amount of water. There is a pumping station here, and I visit these reservoirs 2 or 3 times a week, to be honest, because this is just at the back of Phuket Town Park, otherwise known as King Rama Park, which is a park that I want to do a piece on. Really nice, beautiful park. There are quite a few lakes in the park. I don't believe the lakes supply water to Phuket Town, however, I may be wrong on that. I believe this one that we're looking at now is one of the smaller reservoirs that supplies water to Phuket town, and as you can see, there's not a lot of water in the reservoir at the moment. In fact, at Christmas the water was just under the bridge, literally, and you can see where the marks were running right just under the bridge. This was almost full. And as I say, I visit this reservoir 2 or 3, maybe 4 times a week when I bring the dog down Shadow for a walk in the park. I've slowly seen this reservoir or water disappear over the last 3 months, and I noticed the other day the stick that you can see in the center there, you can actually see the tire, maybe 6 inches, maybe 8 inches deep out in the middle there now, so there isn't a lot of water at all. And actually there's quite a few catfish in that pond, or there was at Christmas, because people come to the steps, feed the catfish, and you can see them jumping around. That doesn't look promising. And then of course you've got this second one, which is larger than this first one. However, I don't believe it's that deep. A few years ago I saw it quite low. It seems to have a little bit more water in there at the moment than the one just across the way, but as you can see, it's starting to go down as well. Now, to my knowledge at the moment, there is no water rationing in place in Phuket on the island. However, I do feel that we're getting quite close to that stage. I know after reading Phuket news, they've said that they've turned the water pressure down at the pumping stations, and this is to conserve water, hopefully for the next 2 months until the rains return. However, of course, we never know when the rains will come back. They may come at the end of April, they may not come back until the end of May or even later, because the weather has been very different this year, very hot. As you can see, it's blue sky, and to be honest, the sun is quite brutal. It really is. You can really feel it, and there's a breeze today and I can still feel the sun on my shoulders. It's very, very warm in Phuket. Well, you might notice something different now on the footage. Basically, this is the second day of filming. When I got home yesterday evening after doing some filming with the setup that I had on the bike yesterday, I wasn't completely happy with all the footage and the shots, so I decided to come back and re-film. Anyway, we've come back down to the 2 small reservoirs. I'm now going to take a ride into Phuket Town Park, otherwise known as King Rama Park. Now, I'm not using the main entrance, and the reason being, I tend to use this entrance a lot when I use Charlie, simply because Charlie's not very powerful sidecar and scooter, and the main entrance is set on a very busy road, and trying to get out in Charlie is a bit of a nightmare, because in Thailand the concept of giving way is not used very often, shall we say. So you can sometimes sit there for up to 20 minutes trying to get out, because I have to turn right leaving the main entrance across the traffic, and nobody will give way, and it's a fairly busy road. Now, there are a few lakes in the park, but from my understanding these lakes are not used to give water to residents or businesses. I may be wrong, I'm not 100% sure, but as far as I'm aware, the lakes that are actually situated in King Rama Park are just used for watering the park. These are also very low, as you will see from the footage. Now, you're probably wondering what all this means with me doing this filming, and what I'm trying to show is obviously the current levels of water that are available on Phuket, which are slowly diminishing, and we are going to be, I would say, and this is only my opinion, we'll have water rationing coming in within the next 3 to 4 weeks. That's my opinion. It may be sooner. Due to the lack of water, there's got to be a situation where they ration the water to make sure it's going to last. See there, they've got the sprinklers working, feeding the park, and I'm sure that the sprinkler system is fed by some of the park's lakes. I'm just going to park up away from these sprinklers so I don't get the cameras wet. This is the main sort of part. There is a larger lake that runs over the other side, and that's much the same situation as what we've got here. Now, Christmas time, The water level was just under the level of that walkway, maybe 2 or 3 inches below it, that's all. And as you can see, in 3 months the water level is now to the stage where you can see the bottom of the poles. At a guess, I'm not sure how deep this is, but at a guess I would probably say 1 or 2 feet in the centre is probably as deep as it's going to be. And you can see the sort of level of water that's left here, much similar to the reservoirs that we've looked at. So there's no doubt we are running short of water. A small reservoir in Shillong that also feeds the general public, the main supply, which I didn't show, which is situated by the Wat Shillong temple, just opposite there, and that is also very low as well. So I'm going to take a quick ride over there. I may as well include that so you get a full picture of all the reservoirs that are available. If you're coming on a holiday out here, I wouldn't be over concerned about it. Most of the hotels, especially the larger ones, are going to be having water trucks come in to take care of their customers. Now of course this is going to cause an additional charge to the hotel. Some of the hotels you may find the rooms will become more expensive if that's the case when water rationing comes into place, because obviously they've got an extra cost. They may not change the prices, I'm not sure, that will be down to the individual hotels, but I'm sure this is not going to cause a problem for any of the tourists. If there is a problem with your water, then I would speak to the hotel, but to be honest I can't really see it. The main issue, and why I'm covering this, is probably going to affect more of the residents that live in Phuket. The main supply may be interrupted. If we get water rationing, they normally, so many hours of the day they will switch the water off, so you won't have any water. And obviously if you need water during the day, if you're running a business, shall we say, that uses a lot of water, you may find yourself running out and needing to call in the water trucks. Similar to myself, to be honest, I'm a little bit concerned because we have a business that needs quite a bit of water, so I'm hoping we don't get to that situation. We haven't as yet, but it may come, I'm not sure. I will monitor the situation and let you know as things change. But at the moment we've got cloud, but there's no sign of any rain, and I'm not convinced that the rain is going to come in April. It could be very late this year, simply because the weather's been very unusual this year. It's been extremely hot, and it is still extremely hot. Okay, we're just coming up to, well, we'll be running by the side of the temple, Wat Shillong. We're just coming down now to the smaller reservoir that I know helps feed Shillong and surrounding areas. There's a pumping station, as you will see here as well. And once again I've seen this diminish over the last 3 months quite substantially. It was almost full at one stage. Okay, well, I've just parked up, swapped the camera over so that I can film inside here. And this is actually a place where you can come and walk around. A lot of people use this as a fitness circuit should I say. There's some machines over the back there that you can see, and the pumping station is just here, pumping the water to local homes and businesses. Now, Christmas time this was full, almost to the very top. I come here quite regular. Again, sometimes I bring shadow here. It's more than half empty. It's not quite as bad as some of the other reservoirs, I don't think. I'm not exactly sure how many homes and businesses this now feeds, because we did look at the larger reservoir that's now in Shillong, feeding Shillong and the surrounding areas. Okay, well, I think that's covered all the main reservoirs in Phuket. There are, of course, a few privately owned ones, but again, to be able to access the water in those, you are going to have to pay for it. I think that's a water truck just over the back there, actually. I believe it is. Okay, well, as always, I hope you have enjoyed the video, found it useful, entertaining and informative. Of course, if you have any questions or comments, please do leave them in the comment section down below, and I will do my best to answer them. So until next time, thanks for watching, and I will catch you on the next one.